What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do some more Les Paul Jr. style stuff. And this is actually really cool. This is something that people keep telling me to try, and I have not gotten around to it. I wasn't really interested, I guess, in spending the money because I just like the guitar the way it is, so I didn't really care. You know, it's one of those things, like if your guitar is working fine, why are you going to mod it for no reason, right? So, however, one of you, a viewer, said, "Hey, I really want you to try this thing, since you're such a junior freak, because I've got 3 of these things, and so I want you to try it." So he sent me one of these Music City bridges for a Les Paul Jr. And it's got this machined and then polished in sort of compensated. It's actually, if you look at like a Gibson, a later one, so for example, take a look at my Gibson SG Junior, where it's got the like lightning bolt machined into it. Where the early ones didn't have that. They just had sort of like a machined kind of barrel that took care of the compensation. So this one is sort of an updated version of that. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to try to get the intonation as close as possible with my Peterson strobe tuner with this one. Then I'm going to take it off, replace the strings. I'm going to put this on there, and then we're going to see if we get it any closer or how much difference there is or whatever. Let me show you the difference. All right, so you can see right here how there's like I'm trying to follow the reflection. So there's like there is sort of like a barrel-y sort of angle right here, right? So you can kind of see how these 3 strings, this machined angle sort of goes back. So it's not like a straight barrel, but apparently this one is better. So if you look at this one, well, actually you can really see it right there. See how it's got like almost like a lightning bolt shape. And it looks very similar to the guitar I just showed you. Let's see if we can get that. See there? See how it's got that like lightning bolt reflection in it? Machined right in to the bridge. And of course it's got the Allen key adjustments on the back like the Gibson one does. The only downside is this is aged nickel and this is not. So it's going to be shiny for a while. I'm not going to worry about it. If it works, I'm going to leave it on there and I'll just play it and get it dirty. So yeah, this is cool. Let's go ahead and get a tuner and see how close we can get this guitar first. Okay, so I've set this guitar up in a previous video, so this should be pretty close, but let's just check it. Just make sure we're in tune first. Okay, I'm just going to check the 12th fret. Boy, that's pretty close. The G string is going to be the trick. It's dead on. Okay, so the B, or the D, starting to drift a little flat. The A is starting to drift a little flat. And the E is dead on. So here's the thing. Because we can only move one end of the bridge at the same each time, if I move the low E, because the low E is dead on, the A, whoops, and the D are drifting a little. Now, that's under 3 cents or 2 cents, really. Would I care about this in a real world situation? No, this guitar is perfect. But for the sake of conversation, so the G's dead on, the A is the D is drifting flat, the A is drifting flat, and the E is dead on. So the improvement that we have, that we could make, is that the E and the A could be improved. Okay, and so let's further talk about that real quick. So on a bridge like this, you can only move this end or this end. You can't move all the saddles, quote unquote, individually, because it's all just one piece. So if the E is on, and this E is on, and this B is on, and this G is on, if these two are the only ones that are out, and we were to move, they're flat. So if they're flat, that means we need to move them, move it this way. Then that would move my low E flatter. And the low E, man, if it gets flat, the whole guitar sounds terrible. So we can't move these two strings individually. So here's a question. Will this bridge improve that offset? So I'm going to go ahead and cut the strings off. I'm going to put a new set of strings on it. It's got 10s on it. I'll put a new set of strings on it, and we'll see if we can get it to improve. All right, so we got it on the guitar. It is interesting that the offset is way different, and if you notice, we have to push the high E way out, so the bridge has a little of a tilt to it, which I don't totally like, but if it works really well, then we won't complain about it. I also, you know, the Vane side of me doesn't like the way it looks in comparison to the vintage one that was on there, the vintage style one that was on there. But again, if it works good, it works good. So the way I like to do this is I put the high E and the low E string on, okay, on the guitar. And I don't tune them up totally to tension, but just to get the slack out of them. And then you measure from where it comes over this little peak right here to the 12th fret, okay? And, you know, it's like 12 and 3/8 inches or whatever, which is half the scale length. And then basically adjust that and adjust this back a little bit here before I put any of the other strings on it, because you're working with less tension on the guitar. And then what I do is I tune up the low E and the high E, and I set the intonation with just the low E and the high E. Again, it's not going to be perfect because you don't have all the tension on there, but it gets you in the ballpark so you're not having to move it a whole bunch afterwards. Then because you know you're at way low tension, you can move this around without doing any damage to anything. You know, you can tighten and loosen these a little bit because you've only got the tension of 2 strings. You're not going to damage anything, right? So then string the rest of the guitar up, get it all tuned to pitch, and set your intonation correctly. And you'll be very close, and you won't have to chase it around a bunch. So I kind of do it in 2 steps. Measure it with the tape measure, do it with the low E and the high E at pitch with just those 2 strings, and then put the rest of them on. Well, okay, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and look at how this thing actually intonated and compare it to before. All right, let's just check tune one more time. Trying to be as accurate as possible about this. All right, so here we go. Okay, so that drift in the D is gone. The drift in the A is gone. That's pretty cool. So we could say that we have an improvement on those 2 strings. New strings. Gotta keep double and triple checking here. Yeah. that drift is gone. Well, that's pretty cool. So, conclusions. Would I spend the $89 or whatever myself on this bridge? Not on this particular guitar. The guitar was good already. The internet warriors will get in the comments and say, yeah, but it made an improvement and you're being vain wanting the original one back on there. The amount of improvement that it was, though, was basically less than your human ear can hear. So it's like nears makes no difference, the same. It's sort of like within the tolerance of, you know, margin of error, basically. That's not to say that it would not improve your guitar, though. I would definitely recommend, if you have one of these and you're having trouble with intonation, getting one, because it's very interesting. Like, the flip side of that is, as close as this was, it was able to make it better. So if you're actually struggling with one of these things, it's possible that it will make yours better. You know what I mean? And it also depends on the rest of the setup, right? So if your action is higher or lower, it depends on how much neck relief you use, how high your nut is. All those kinds of things will play with your intonation on your guitar. Intonation is important on your guitar because if you have it's off, then you can end up with these weird harmonics fighting with each other and frequencies fighting with each other, and it'll basically, even if it doesn't sound like you're out of tune, it can give you some weird harmonics and stuff and mess with your tone. So it's awesome. I have another guitar that I'm going to try this on. I'm actually probably going to put the stock one back on it just because I want this guitar to remain completely stock. And like I said, that level of improvement, I don't know that it's necessary, but I have another guitar, another Junior, that is a little more finicky, my SG Junior. So I'm probably going to put this on that guitar and see if it makes a major improvement. And I'll probably let you know. We may not do a separate video on it, but I may let you know, like in a live stream or something, if it made a big difference. Because I think it will. Yeah, man. Yeah, if you're having trouble with one of these, definitely try one. I'm really impressed with even the little tiny improvement that it was able to find. It found it, right? So that's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and we will talk to you in the next video. Do me a favor and like and subscribe, and let me know if you've tried this or fight with this and, you know, might need something like this. We'll see you in the next one.